who's running for Senate in Michigan, talking about the energy crisis in Michigan. So check that one out. A few that Patty has done with folks like John Fugelsang. So check those out. And also she did a great interview with Jacob Morrison, the president of the North Alabama Area Labor Council, and the host of the Valley Labor Report. Had a great conversation with Patty talking about unions and their strength going back to the 50s. So make your way over to heartlandsignal.com, our digital platform, where we've got tremendous writing from our digital news team. On today's show, guys, we will be talking with another Michigander, Sean McCann, who is running for he's running for Senate, Michigan State Senator, candidate for Congress in the 4th Congressional District in Michigan. I got to get that right. He's currently a state senator. We've had him on the show before. He's now running for Congress, and I think his primary is in August. But we'll get into that with him in the 6:30 hour shortly. And then from 7 to 7:30, I'm going to be taking your calls today. I made a little bit of an adjustment because I know that the past couple of days, you guys have answered the question of the day, and I didn't get a chance to talk with you about it. We had some folks yesterday that called in, and we couldn't get you in. So today, between 7 and 7:30, making this clear right now, for those who had comments about our question of the day yesterday and questions of the day even last week, I want to give you guys some space to talk about that and other issues that might be on your mind. So just get yourself ready, get your calls in, and we will definitely get you in during that period of time. And then in the 7:30 hour, Amy McDonald, who is the host of the Foolish Optimist, will be with me, and we'll be talking all things politics, insanity of the GOP, and things that are happening with her work. So Amy's she's a fireball when it comes to things that she's so well researched and great kind of a historian in some ways. When you listen to what she talks about, she really hits it from a very unique historical perspective. So I'm looking forward to chatting with Amy again, and hopefully she's going to become kind of a regular voice on Choose Views. So yesterday's question. So I know you guys had some comments yesterday. I didn't get a chance to read them all. So we're going to do a little bit of a revisit to yesterday's question so that we can talk about that when you guys call in, because I'm specifically blocking out today from 7 to 7:30 so that we can take some of your calls. And I apologize we didn't get to you yesterday, but hit us back. I know there were a number of you did, and some that also sent text messages. If you're listening, throw them at us again today so we can get that into the conversation. But yesterday's question, and then I have a secondary question today that's partly tied to a report that I read yesterday afternoon. Yesterday's question was, what has this war in Iran cost you personally? A direct cost that you can feel. I want to revisit that because I know you guys wanted to chime in on that yesterday, and we didn't get a chance to get to you. So I, rather than not do something about it, I figured let's just take some time today and clear the deck so we can do that. And another thought bubble, and this is what happens. I have these thought bubbles, and in my conversations with different folk on the show, privately, online, all the things, one of the big thought bubbles, again, that's out there is the youth vote. And when we come back from the break, I'll talk a little bit more about this. But some people are concerned about this sort of who we didn't talk to. Mike Nellis and I were, when Mike was on yesterday, we kind of waded into the conversation about what Democrats could do better going forward, and what Democrats could be talking about and how they should be talking about it. And I'm not throwing any shade at Democrats. As you know, I compliment and sometimes I criticize, but for the greater good of pushing us and making us a stronger party. It's not just to criticize to be someone that's bitching and moaning. That's just not how I roll. But what are we, as we start to get we get into the summer and we get closer to the fall, we do have to make sure that we're encouraging the Democratic elected and running officials to make sure that they're covering all the ground that we say we may have missed in 2024's general election. It seems as though a lot of candidates are running understanding that there's some things that we missed. And so now let's deal with those in a more prudent, practical way to let people know that we are hearing you. One of those groups are young voters. When we come back from the break, I'm going to talk a little bit about this. because I want to know what you guys also think about where we are when it comes to young voters. What we meaning the Democratic Party. Because candidly, the tech dude bro group that's the guys that supposedly are listening to these influencers on the right, they got bamboozled. They got fooled. They got thrown and they caught with both hands, Mike, the okie doke. They really did. And they should have listened. Even cats like Devin. Devin's not 70 years old. Mike's not 70 years old. They listened. They heard. They knew. So we're going to talk a little bit about the young vote in a minute. But I want to, again, do a little bit of a recap of yesterday's question. What has this war in Iran cost you personally, or how has it affected you directly in ways that you can feel? I want to talk about that. And in the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to make sure we can grab your calls, and I'll do the best job possible of reading the text that you guys may resend me from yesterday, or new text that you may send. And if you have people in your family or your network that this question applies to, and you've had a conversation with them, maybe we can even talk about that, what you've heard from someone in your family that's and what their direct impact has been of this war. Let's take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, as well as our good friends at AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I am Richard Chu, and we'll be right back.
The Sports Cubicle.
Here in WCPT, we're fortunate enough to have the new head coach of DePaul University, Chris Holtman. You have that tough December where you're going to have 2 conference games, and then does that seem like it's going to work for you? Are you going to be having up tempo, or do you even know that yet?
We are really trying to play with great pace, more so than really at any point in my career. That's something we've really emphasized since the summer.
The Sports Cubicle with Mike Mercado, Devin Tingle, Dan Marver, and Paul Shavari. Sunday nights, 9 p.m. on WCPT.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
Just a little heads up before something bad happens.
Move your coffee cup away from your computer.
Oh, no.
So you can have more control.
Stop. You're texting your boss by mistake.
Uh-oh. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Warning. The cap is loose on that ketchup.
Ugh. Don't wait. You have the power to change the outcome. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
It's Choose Views, where we read more than just the headline. Now here's your host, Richard Chu.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Thanks for being with us this morning. Couple of quick Choose Views news items on this May 5th, 2026. Iran has warned the United States on a pledge to guide ships through the Straits of Hormuz. Oil prices rose pretty steadily yesterday after Iran threatened a retaliation if U.S. followed through on a plan to, quote, guide stranded ships through the Straits of Hormuz. Trump announced that ships not actively involved in the crisis would be helped out of the strait, which controls 20% of the world's oil shipments. July's future for Brent crude The international benchmark topped $109. Meanwhile, OPEC announced it would increase output to 188,000 barrels per day after its first meeting since the departure of the UAE. Spirit Airlines looks to begin its official wind-down plan just days after abruptly ending all of its passenger services. Spirit Airlines is starting its official wind-down and preparing to sell off its assets. What a shame. It's just disappointing. That's happened. In Monday's motion, the airline's parent company, Spirit Aviation Holdings, also said it's pursuing a bankruptcy loan to fund the process. Spirit plans to keep 150 workers employed for the next few months as to support the wind down. Then that number will be slashed to just about 40. The airline had more than 11,000 employees on its books as of August of 2025. Amazon expands its supply chain services to all businesses and announced yesterday that it's opening its supply chain to all businesses, officially positioning the company as a third-party logistics provider and competitor to air freight companies, parcel carriers, and truckers. Through Amazon Supply Chain Services, any company can hire Amazon for services such as truck transportation, fulfillment, and ocean and air shipping. Companies such as Lands' End, Procter & Gamble, and 3M are already using the service. Foreclosure filings hit their highest level since 2020. Did you hear that, Donald Trump? They've surged the highest level since early 2020, fueled by high and rising insurance costs, property taxes, and the end of COVID-era relief programs. According to the Wall Street Journal, nearly 119,000 properties faced foreclosure in the first quarter of this year, a 26% year-over-year increase. Homeowners are experiencing, quote, payment shocks from taxes, insurance, and job struggles, according to Marina Walsh, an economist with the Mortgage Bankers Association. This is also putting more pressure on credit card payments and student loan repayments. And the numbers to watch this week, labor market truths. Here they are. It's that time again. It's Jobs Week. The next few days brings a tidal wave of employment data, starting with the job openings and labor survey that will come out today. The next will be the ADP release of its monthly report on employment and the private sector. And Friday will be delivering of the government's data on jobs and unemployment for the month of April. Analysts expect somewhat muted job growth of around 100,000 jobs after March's surprise addition of 178,000. So there you go, guys. A couple of quick Choose Views news items on this Tuesday. Hold on. May 5th. May 5th. May 5th. May 5th. That was the long version and the short version. Kind of like Choose Views stories. Short version, long version. Yeah, May 5th. Is this Cinco de Mayo? Yes. Ha! I got it right. I knew it was. I just wanted to have some fun with it. Yeah, y'all. Experience it in your own way. However that might be. All right. So make sure you are taking the time to check out Joan Esposito live, local, and progressive. She'll be joined today by Margaret Donovan, attorney, visiting lecturer at Yale University, USA Today columnist Rex Hupke, and Chris Burry, senior columnist in resident at DePaul University. Live, local, and progressive weekdays 2 to 5 here on WCPT AM 820, heartlandsignal.com, and tune in. Tonight on Driving It Home, Patty Vasquez will be talking to Jesse Roja, the community organizer and chair of the Illinois Veterans for Change. Mike Biedenau will be with her as well, Navy veteran, historic preservationist, and author of Reviving Our Republic. Comedian and veteran Peter Conrad and Whitney Rydell, the organizer of Stand Up for Freedom, a comedy show dedicated to raising awareness about and fighting against soldier suicide. That'll be that's hosted by The Pocket at Surge Billiards. Billiards are also known as pool. Logan Square this Saturday, May 9th. Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, weekdays 5 to 7 p.m. here on WCPT AM 820, the Heartland Signal website. Tune in, YouTube, and Facebook. And then tomorrow in studio, I'll be joined by my good friend Rico Mowat. Will be kind of hanging out and co-hosting with me for the show. Bobby Kogan, Senior Director of Federal Budget Policy at the Center for American Progress. And Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. He'll be hanging out. If you want to watch and share this episode or any past episode of the show, go to our YouTube page at Heartland Signal, one word, and click the live tab. You can also subscribe to our YouTube page where you can find live streams, shorts from the Heartland Signal digital newsroom, because those guys get it done over there. So that's what's happening. Shows to check out, things to look at. Make sure you're doing it. Okay. The question, again, today, what I want to kind of do a recap of yesterday's question, just to make sure we get your thoughts in, is what has this war in Iran cost you personally? Some direct costs that you, have been impacted by, and even those that you may know in your family, your friends, your colleagues' network, that you can say that in that circle, when you guys have talked and had conversations, they said, yeah, Richard, this is how it's impacting me. This is what's going on. I'd like to hear that. Yesterday, we get a chance to talk about it, and I promise you in the 7 o'clock hour or today, we will do just that. One of the things that's in that conversation, we'll try to talk about this as well as the conversation around young voters, because it seems as though in a new poll, let me get the glasses back on, a new poll of young voters reveals that the gains Republicans made in 2024 were a mirage, as Trump's crashing economy has sent voters age 18 to 34 back to Democrats. It shows young Americans planning to vote Democratic in November by a margin of 52% to 19%. Broken down by party, the data indicates that the GOP has a significant base problem. Just 58% of young Republicans say they'll vote GOP, with nearly a third selecting, quote, neither or won't vote. By contrast, and this is the part that you really got to plug into, 85% of young Democrats intend to show up for their party in the ballot box. I'm going to keep repeating that a lot and get it to as many folks running for office as possible on a state level, on a local level, on a federal level. Because, as I said before we went to break, young voters that may or may not have been paying attention, so I'm trying not to point too many fingers here, just got a little hoodwinked and believed that that Donnie was going to get it done for you, and he didn't. You shouldn't have given him the ball with 3 seconds left in the game. Right, Mike? Shouldn't have done it. You gave him the ball with 3 points left in the game, and for the second time, he hasn't delivered. So don't do it again in terms of the midterms and how Democrats need to take back the House, the Senate, some state elections, and all the rest, so that when we are in control, we can get stuff done. And one more thing about getting stuff done and what we got to do. California is still on my mind. Right now, according to a recent poll that is balancing out some of the numbers in the governor's race in California, Javier Becerra has taken a 1-point lead over Steve, and he's a Democrat, has taken a 1-point lead over Steve Hilton. And he's leading Tom Steyer by 9 points, Chad Bianco, who's a Republican, by 11 points, Katie Porter by 14 points, and the others are 6-2 and 1. So I'm just going to say this. No offense to Matt Mahan, Antonio Villarosa, and Tony Thurman. You all are at 6-2 and 1. As Democrats, you should step out of the race and then endorse Becerra, because we can't have Bianco and Hilton be the 1 and 2 in the June primary. Can't happen, y'all. So be unselfish. Take one for the team, as one of my sisters-in-law likes to say, and step out of the race, and then do the other side of that, Mike and Devin, which is endorse the leading Democratic candidate, Javier Becerra. California cannot have its economy, and this is what you guys don't know. Steve Hilton has only been a U.S. citizen for 5 years. He's the leading Republican candidate in California. I don't want to see the whatever people say, 4th, 5th, 7th largest economy on the planet, being our largest state in the country, be run by a guy that's been a citizen for 5 years. Think about that for a second. That's not having any issues with immigration whatsoever. It's just he ain't been here long enough to run that big of a state, that big of a business, particularly when he's been an arch rival to democracy and has made statements along those lines. He's a tech guy that's funded within the tech community. And don't be surprised if he's got some money coming from the other tech bro dudes that we don't like, the Palantirs, the Carps, the Thiels, and the Ramaswamis and the rest. So we'll talk about this more as we go along, but let's take a quick break right now. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. And now AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu, and we'll be right back. When we're back, we're going to be talking with Sean McCann, who's running for Congress in Michigan. We'll be right back.
WCPT Replay.
The professor of political science and women's and gender studies at Brooklyn College and the graduate center of the City University of New York and author of Sex Is As Sex Does, Governing Transgender Identity. Yeah, Paisley Curra.
The legislation that they've passed doesn't really speak to any particular problems. Like the legislation that they've passed might be described as like a solution in search of a problem. The legislation covers, school and college participation in sports. And when it comes to like elite sports, that's already governed by the whatever sports associations. They have their own policies and they're working through policies on transgender participation. So it's not necessary for legislatures to weigh in on that. This legislation is really targeting like middle school and high school kids at the non-elite level, and that is where it really just part of enrolling transgender people in the culture wars to create problems where none exist.
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A few spotty rain showers early today, otherwise cloudy skies with a high around 60. Winds out of the west around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then for tonight, decreasing cloud cover, a low near 44. By Wednesday, partial sunshine develops, a high of 58 degrees. And Thursday, mostly sunny, a high of 60. Friday, chance for rain late, cloudy, high of 65. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 54.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
No fake news here. It's Choose Views with Richard Chu.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. Thanks for being with us. If you're just tuning in, I'm Richard Chu, and this is Choose Views here on WCPT in Chicago. Our neighboring state of Michigan has got a lot of political races going on. The governor's office, we've got some Senate races, we've got some congressional races, and obviously state races. And one of the folks that is a current state senator in Michigan that's running as a candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives District 4, or the 4th District in Michigan, is Sean McCann. Sean's been with us before. Dad, state senator in Kalamazoo area, been a public servant for a long time. And it's good to have you back on the show this morning, Sean. Welcome back to Choose Views.
Thanks so much for having me back, Richard. I greatly appreciate it.
So what you been up to the last few weeks since we talked last? You got this campaign that you're running, and it's, it's keeping you busy. So talk to us a little bit about the campaign.
Yeah, thanks so much. I mean, we need to put all of our efforts and energy into flipping the House. This is a seat that can help us do that. And we are working hard at it every single day, every single hour. I'm really excited to say that our support from the community and the state and the nation are extremely strong. And we had campaigns are kind of measured in quarters. So the first 3 months of the year is where we got a measuring stick. And our campaign raised $1 million. We raised $400,000 more than the incumbent here, which was pretty amazing, quite frankly, and just shows us that we've got really strong momentum building here. A lot of people look here and they see a race that's highly competitive, definitely in the range of flipping as we see things go forward here in Michigan and across the country. We'll get another measure of the sentiment of the electorate today in Michigan as we're filling a special election state Senate seat today for one of my colleagues, Kristen McDonald-Rivets, state Senate seat, my hopefully soon-to-be colleague in the House. won that seat after Dan Kildee retired. And today in Michigan, we're going to fill that seat with a special election that will give us another barometer on where the electorate is at.
Yeah, I'm so proud of what you guys are doing. And I mean that in all sincerity, because Michigan's home to me. We talked about this the last time that you were on. And since then, I've talked to some people who are permanent residents in Michigan, southwestern Michigan, particularly Kalamazoo area, Grand Rapids, that sort of central western part of the state. And everybody's excited about what you're doing. And what I mean that specifically is that you are changing the narrative and taking your priorities and making those the conversation rather than just the not defending, but the Trump stinky and don't vote for him or any of his acolytes. You're saying that's true, and here are my priorities. Here are the things that I'm focused on and what's important to me. And you've got some plans for Michigan that are not just for Michigan, but they also are really ones that they resonate across the country, keeping low cost and affordability in check, protecting our health care, energy costs, addressing that. And you're kind of as I said before, teasing you, Senator, you're kind of a let's protect our water and land dude as well. Talk about those priorities and why it's about what we're doing for, not just that Trump and the GOP are stinky.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my sort of North Star in Michigan here is Governor Whitmer. I've been able to be a legislative ally of hers in the last 7.5 years in the Michigan Senate. She was in the Michigan Senate when I was in the Michigan House. And, she just talks about, let's get shit done. And let's focus on the issues that matter to everyday families that aren't focused on politics every single day of the year. They want to be able to live their lives well, get to the American dream, not be confronted with, huge challenges and roadblocks and things that make it harder for families to succeed, for kids to grow up with good educations and the ability to make it in America. And so we really do focus on, and that's where it keeps my focus as well, is on those core things. Because I've got a family. We want them to be in sports and do well in school and have good schools and have decent roads to drive on, have safe water to drink. And those are the basics, right? And so that's where my head's at all times. And unfortunately, Washington and Congress is not there right now. They're fighting foreign wars and causing prices to go up in all places. You have a president who said he'd bring all the costs down on day one. That's just clearly not working out. So I'm a happy servant, and I'm always about trying to fix problems, whether they're an individual constituent who calls me. I don't care if they're a Democrat or a Republican. I'm going to try to get them their tax return. I'm going to try to get their situation fixed. But I'm also looking on the big picture to make sure all those high-level priorities in life are the things that we're working on every day.
Senator, I think one of the best positions to have run for and won and then go to the next level, if you will, is to be a state representative and or state senate in the state legislature. And then that next step to go on to run for U.S. Congress or U.S. Senate. And you're right. I mean, and oftentimes a person will do what the governor did, and she ended up running for governor and has been extraordinarily successful. And she does get S done. She and Governor Shapiro made it clear that was their kind of their mantra last year and year before. But it's true. I've said this a bunch of times, Senator, that when Democrats are in control and we have the trifecta or at least two of the chambers, we do get stuff done, and we push hard because we know that it's not just for me, the office holder, or you, the office holder. It's for the people that are part of the district or the state or the region. And you've continued to be unbending in that space, irrespective of what some of the state Republicans have said about your efforts there. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we do. That's what we sign up for when we run for office. And, one of the really simple things that's come up, I think, in this race that's really appropriate to talk about is the fact that this congressman currently, the one I'm working to beat, doesn't show up for town halls, doesn't show up for coffee hours, really kind of ducks his constituents, and hasn't had a public town hall since 2018. And I do these things on the regular, and it's not that hard. Yeah, sometimes you're going to get some feedback that maybe isn't the most flattering or kind to you, but that's part of the deal you sign up for here. So, and I've got a track record that can show that. I can show you the bills I voted for. I can show you the town halls I've had. I can show you my priorities, the things in the budget that I brought home for the district, which is another thing this congressman doesn't do. Doesn't bring back congressional directed spending back to the district for projects that are important to his own constituents. And that's been a North Star for me, too. You send me to Lansing or Washington, I'm going to work to bring back help to the district.
Let's talk a little bit about Huizenga before we go to this break. You've outraced him. I mean, you basically, as we use the phrase in basketball, and you're familiar with this, you really have posted him up this last quarter, the first quarter of the year, when it comes to that. And he got caught by TMZ. Check this out, guys, here in the studio. Traveling to Scotland, touring castles in the middle of this war and during the government shutdown, and then tried to head fake and pretend like he wasn't there. But it's pretty obvious, rather than holding a town hall with people who need his help. So talk a little bit about your fight versus his fight, and representation versus his representation.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, part of the resources that he's getting help by Mike Johnson. Okay, so not only were we able to exceed his fundraising total in the first quarter, but a lot of that came from Speaker Mike Johnson, $160,000 in that quarter. He's close to getting $500,000 pumped into his campaign by Mike Johnson at this point. We expect to see plenty of money from Betsy DeVos and Elon Musk and other national GOP billionaires bailing this situation out here, trying to keep the race, from slipping away from them. So we know that resources are going to come to the rescue here, but again, still a testament to our work that we've kept pace and, have outraised him in that quarter and still need support from people here in the community and around the country. So, what message does it send that you're in Scotland touring castles when the government's partially shut down and there's a war going on?
Yeah, I love Scotland, but if I were elected to office, I'd keep my behind at home in the district and make sure I'm taking care of the folks that helped to get me elected. Let me ask you this question real quick then about that, not so much the Scotland trip, but about the money part. I've said to everybody that listens to my show anywhere in the country, we want to help local races. We want to help races that you might be in a blue state or a blue district, and your person's good. We got to help out the folks who are facing, because listen, if external billionaire money can come to a race in Michigan, then all of our other dollars that we can cobble together should be able to come from anywhere in the country. That's how the game is now. We got to fight that way rather than having these purity tests, if you will. But what are the voters in Michigan, Senator McCann, saying about money coming into the state from external sources, big money, I should say, to affect races in the state of Michigan? What are you hearing?
I mean, we absolutely expect Michigan to be ground zero for all kinds of huge Republican mega donor spending here. They're usually coming in and swamping the everyday person who wants to have a say or put $5 into the campaign coffers here for a candidate running against that. But, this is we've seen big multi-million-dollar buys and television advertising reservations already made by national GOP groups here. So it's coming, and we're going to get swamped unless we compete in all fronts. And that's where, like you say, the small resources from people across the country can counter that better than anything. And that's a lot of what fuels our campaign here is the small individual contributor who says, screw that, I want to help out and push back against this, the billionaire class that got the tax benefits from the one big ugly bill, and now they're pulling it back in to try to keep the policies that benefit them going.
Yeah. Let me ask you this as well, Senator McCann. I talked about this a little bit earlier. There was a report that came out that showed there's been a move, and there's going to be a move of younger voters back to Democrats in this midterm cycle. One of our listeners, and I'll give you the edited version, says we don't want to get ahead of ourselves in terms of that. But what are you seeing on the campaign trail when it comes to our, quote, younger voters? And when I say younger, I'm going to say voters under the age of 35, showing a re-interest in the Democratic Party.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of energy that's going to be and is currently engaged in the political world, and that's because of all the challenges that younger people under 35 are facing. They're not even in the current age range for being able to be first-time homeowners. It's like 40 now, I think, is the report I saw. And, mortgage rates are high. Costs of housing is high. Costs of buying a vehicle is high. Paying, for groceries. So, that's really, I think, what's really fueling this frustration and energy, rightly so. People that are hoping to be making it and doing better by 35, 30, 25 are facing all these huge uphill climbs. And it's just not as easy as it might have been for me 25, 30 years ago to do the same thing. And that's what I think is really fueling that younger energy and engagement that we're seeing on the ground here.
That's good. That's good. Let's take a quick break. We're talking with State Senator from Michigan, Sean McCann. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, and now AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu, and we'll be right back.
Out Chicago.
I always like to give Scott a little something on his birthday, and I like to do it on the air.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you. There better be a lot of cheese in here is what I'm hoping for.
Well,
there is. You know the key to my heart is cheese. I am Midwestern through and through. You cut me, I bleed Velveeta.
We know.
I love it.
Catch Out Chicago every Sunday, 11 to 1 on WCPT 820.
Out Here is a celebration of queer joy, family, and the many ways we can build a home. Dawn wants to divorce her husband and rekindle the flame with her ex-girlfriend. As she's caught between what's been and what's next, she must learn to reimagine her expectations, harmonize with loved ones, and trust the process. Experience this bold, playful new musical from Leslie Buxbaum, David J. Levin, and Aaron McCowan, directed by Che Yu. Perfect for fans of Fun Home. Out Here is on stage at Court Theater through May 10th. Tickets at courttheater.org.
What is dedication? My daughter is biological and my son is adopted. I love them both so much. From the morning when you wake up to putting them to bed at night and every moment in between. I think a parent's job is to protect our children but also prepare them for the world so they become good, kind human beings.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Would it be crazy if you packed your bags and left for a week, a month, a year? What if you left for 2 years? What if you were going far away to help in a village on the edge of the Gobi Desert, to teach children and learn a thing or two about yourself? Would that be crazy? Peace Corps. Life is calling. How far will you go?
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
Don't hit that snooze button. It's time for Choose Views with Richard Chu.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. In case you're just tuning in, I'm Richard Chu, and this is Choose Views, and I'm talking with Michigan State Senator Sean McCann. Senator, can you tell our listeners real quickly what the geography is of the 4th District in Michigan so folks kind of have a picture of where it is?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. So it's really a pretty simple triangle, if you think about it that way, with the points being Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, sort of on the lower right hand of the tip of the triangle, and then it runs west to Lake Michigan, where St. Joseph and Benton Harbor, the Twin Cities there, are nestled on Lake Michigan, and it runs up the lakeshore to the top of the triangle, which is Holland and Ottawa County, and those are just west of my friend Congresswoman Hillary Skolton's district in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So it's southwest Michigan. It's a beautiful triangle of Lake Michigan coast and cereal and pharmaceuticals and tourism and lakeshore and lots of lakes and rivers and the Great Lake Michigan.
So does that also include areas like down to the corner, the corner of the state, southwestern Michigan, places like New Buffalo, and does that go down that far, all the way down to the state and back over?
No, not quite. A friend of mine in the state house, Joey Andrews, has a district that runs the lakeshore all the way down to the state line. But this one it ends. The southern part of it is St. Joe Benton Harbor. But hey, you're in Chicago. You can see us across the lake, right?
That's right. I know the area very well, so that's why I was asking. And we have a number of listeners that are in that part of the state, so that's why one of the reasons I was asking that question. Okay. Money and endorsements. Guys, check this out. This shows that Senator McCann is getting it done. Teamsters Local 406, Michigan UA Plumbers and Pipe Fitters, Smart Chi Transportation Department, American Federation for State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFSCME, and the Michigan Education Association. These are 5 organizations, 5 unions that have endorsed State Senator McCann for Congress. Talk about what that feels like and talk about what it's going to do to continue to amplify and support your race.
Thanks, Richard. I'm super proud of these endorsements. They come recently along with a whole host of elected officials and community leaders and people who have been doing the work here for a long time. Before them, we've had laborers and some other folks who work hard to build our roads. And, I back organized labor, I back working people, and I have a record that backs that up. And my whole time in public service, from the time I was on the Kalamazoo City Commission and helped introduce and enact a local bid preference policy that was to help people working to get jobs in the local community, making sure local dollars stayed in local pockets, to fighting against and then voting to repeal Michigan's so-called right to work for less law, which was a huge way to try to diminish and disable collective bargaining rights that protect working people, give them stronger benefits, give them better health care, give them better wages. So this is something I'm very proud of. I was just talking to Teamsters here in Michigan yesterday, and these are just hardworking people that, again, are trying to, hit that American dream and are facing more challenges now than they ever. Imagine Teamsters and gas prices, right? I mean, this is going to have a ripple effect through our whole economy, but these are the folks helping deliver the stuff to our grocery stores and homes every day.
Yeah, and that's the big reason why I'm going to ask a question and make a statement. How do you feel about the Democratic Party at large when it comes to did we listen to what folks are saying we didn't get right in 2024 in terms of not listening to the unions, not listening to younger voters, not listening to everyday folk in terms of the kitchen table, the kitchen counter items? And that's not an indictment of us. It's just saying, okay, what did we learn? Do you feel like with the special elections and some of these early primaries that we're on the right track and that we kind of retooled, if you will, the machinery to be able to go forward successfully in this midterm?
Based on how this campaign is going here and the issues that we think matter to people versus the folks who are running Congress now versus the incumbent here, Bill Huizenga in Southwest Michigan, I think that we're on the right track. It's not without debate. Certainly, I think part of our party is to robustly debate ideas and positions and not sort of be all lockstep in one direction all the time, adhering to one leader at the national level. And we know who that is. That's Trump. And we know that Republican GOP Congress people like Bill Huizenga are lockstep with him. There's no daylight between Bill Huizenga and Donald Trump in this election, and we plan to keep talking about that through the whole race. So, we've got primaries to settle here in Michigan. We've got people that are coming at it from different places. But my hope at the end of that process is that we're all able to really turn our focus and understand that the policies coming from Trump and Huizenga and Congress are not serving everyday people in any way, and that it's time for a change this fall.
Yeah. There's a national issue that we saw moving, I guess you could say, the right direction yesterday, and that's the Supreme Court restoring the abortion pill access. I know that that's a conversation, and if you were to win this race or not, it's a reality for so many families in the country. How is that being perceived with mifepristone and the Supreme Court's ruling on that in the state of Michigan? And what are your views real quick?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a defender of reproductive freedom for families and women to make sure that we have, that ability to choose and plan our families. There's always being obstacles thrown up against the ability to do that. And the attempts by, people in Congress like Bill Huizenga and Donald Trump trying to basically always find ways to block that access, to curtail the ability of people to choose their own reproductive lives and when to have children is, it's a constant struggle. And we in Michigan in 2022 reinstated reproductive freedom in the wake of the Supreme Court overturning Roe versus Wade. So, I'm a bit agnostic at times because the Supreme Court sometimes makes rulings that I'm not supportive of, and occasionally they get one right. But this is this constant drumbeat and attack on a woman's ability to plan her future, plan her life, have children when she wants to. Let people do that rather than have the opposite outcome, and that's what we see constantly with these attacks.
Yeah, it's good to hear. A little bit of a shout out indirectly from someone that is I won't say a fan of yours, but a supporter of yours and a believer in what you've done in the state Senate, and that's Lavora Barnes. Got
great.
You there. Talk about you and Lavora.
Yeah, she helmed our Michigan Democratic Party here for many years, notched a great deal of wins, and ran the organization extremely well. I've known a number of Democratic Party chairs over the years that are good friends, and I think have led extraordinarily well. It's tough to, be in an elections business because sometimes when things don't go the way we hope they do, then sometimes people look for reasons for that. But Lavora is wonderful, and hey, if you're listening, I hope to see you sometime soon. Come knock some doors with me here in Southwest Michigan.
Maybe what we'll do is get both of you on at the same time in the next few weeks or so. Is it August? That's the primary. Do I have that right, State Senator?
Yes, August 3rd, August 4th.
So what we'll do is make a point of getting you and Lavora on at the same time, and we can talk about Democratic politics in the state of Michigan and some of the global things that she's said on this show a couple times about bringing people into the party and then giving them something to do consistently so they stay and they're not leaving. They're not yo-yoing in and out of the party, going independent, maybe not voting. And she really has a platform for that, which I know you're very familiar with. Real quick, State Senator, how can folks find you? How can they throw you some money, some support, whatever is needed to keep it strong?
Yeah, thanks so much. Sean McCann for Congress. Sean McCann for Congress. If you just Google that, come to my campaign page, not my official state senator page. So it's the one that's for Congress, not state senator. And really just appreciate the chance to be on with you today. And sorry for the prices at the pumps, folks. We're going to work to bring those costs down, bring those gas prices down. They're through the roof here in Michigan, and it's hitting everybody's pocketbooks.
Thank you, Senator, for being with us. We appreciate you. We'll have you back again soon. Take care, all right? Bye now.
Thanks, Richard.
Bye. All right, guys, quick break. 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, as well as our good friends at AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Every day, 70,000 puppies or kittens are born in the U.S. Cute, right? Well, what's not cute is that half of all litters are accidents. And when a kitten has a litter of oopsies and a puppy has a litter of uh-ohs, pretty soon you have thousands and thousands of OMGs. And that leads to millions of pets being killed in shelters each year. But if 80% of people with pets say they believe in spaying and neutering, then what gives? Turns out that those sweet little fuzzballs can get pregnant sooner than you think. A lot sooner. But here's the good news. You can stop the accident before it happens. You just have to remember one number, 4, as in 4 months. When you bring home Maggie or Ruby or Puddles or Clyde, get them fixed at 4 months old. It can be old enough to get pregnant, and it's definitely young enough to make a difference. Prevent more. Fix at month 4. Visit fixat4.com for more information. Brought to you by Best Friends Animal Society.
Amazon Business. Discover smart business buying, where unmatched selection meets AI-driven tools to simplify complex processes, so you can focus on what matters most. Learn more at AmazonBusiness.com.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. Secretary of State Marco Rubio will travel to Rome and Vatican City this week in a bid to ease rising tensions between President Trump and Pope Leo XIV over U.S. policies, particularly the Iran war. The State Department says Rubio will be in Italy on Thursday and Friday. Trump has criticized Leo for his stances on the Middle East and elsewhere. AP correspondent Karen Shamas reports on the latest tensions between the U.S. and Iran in the Strait of Hormuz.
The U.S. military says 2 American-flagged merchant ships have successfully transited the Strait of Hormuz after it launched a new initiative to restore traffic. Iran has effectively closed the critical waterway since the U.S. and Israel launched the war in late February. President Donald Trump's new initiative to break Iran's stronghold over the strait has escalated the standoff. In a news conference, Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Esmail Baghei said ships in the key waterway need to coordinate with Iranian authorities to ensure their security and safety. The U.S. military denied Iran's claims that it had struck an American Navy vessel. Meanwhile, the United Arab Emirates issued its first missile alert since a ceasefire reached in early April and accused Iran of targeting an oil tanker. I'm Karen Shamas.
Trump's campaign to politically punish Republicans who stand in his way moves through Indiana today when 7 state senators face Trump-backed primary challengers. In Ohio, primaries for U.S. Senate and governor will lock in the candidates for 2 major races. And in Michigan, voters in a bellwether district will fill a vacancy in the state Senate. Democrats have recently shown surprising strength in special elections and off-year contests across the country. This is AP News. The state of California is investigating a Trump administration deal to scrap an offshore wind project. AP correspondent Ben Thomas reports.
President Trump has repeatedly made plain his skepticism, if not outright hostility, toward wind energy.
We need the kind of thing that's going to fire up our plants, and it's not going to be wind.
He made that comment last July, and since then, the administration has struck 3 agreements with 3 companies at a cost of nearly $2 billion to buy out their leases for offshore wind projects. Now, the California Energy Commission has issued a subpoena to one of those companies, Golden State Wind, saying taxpayer dollars should be used to build a sustainable energy future, not to pay to make projects disappear, adding it would turn back the clock on innovation. I'm Ben Thomas.
And I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A few spotty rain showers early today, otherwise cloudy skies with a high around 60. Winds out of the west around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then for tonight, decreasing cloud cover, a low near 44. By Wednesday, partial sunshine develops, a high of 58 degrees. And Thursday, mostly sunny, a high of 60. Friday, chance for rain late, cloudy, high of 65. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 52.
This is WCPT telling you how you can shop blue. If you have children, they are always going to be your special bundle of joy. And if they're a newborn baby, you want to make sure what's best for them. So here are the best baby product companies that support the Democratic Party. Procter & Gamble. Now, Procter & Gamble owns Luvs, Pampers, and All Good. In 2024, Procter & Gamble gave $599,000 to the Democratic Party, 61% of their donations. Procter & Gamble supports the Democratic Party. Kirkland Diapers. Now, Kirkland Diapers are owned by First Quality. And First Quality does not give to politics, but their employees do, and their employees lean slightly to the left, as $50,000 are donated to Democrats in 2024. This has been WCPT telling you how you can shop blue.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show, 773-763-9278. The Choose Views featured interviews and full episodes podcasts are available on Amazon, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeart, YouTube, all those places. Search for Choose Views or visit our new podcast page at heartlandsignal.com/podcast. And you've got all the recent editions that are there. So what the midterm election 6 months away. 6 months away now. Myself and others are going to continue to interview candidates across the state and country like we just did with State Senator Sean McCann. So make sure that you go to the heartlandsignal.com/candidates tab to hear and share the latest interviews. And you can also grab a peek and a listen over at Facebook where we're reading your comments. So please drop those there. Okay, let's get into it. Yesterday, what the question was, what has this war in Iran cost you personally? Direct costs that you can feel, or people that you know that may have commented to you on what this war has done. Some of the comments that we got yesterday, one particular person said, was talking about their income in relationship to the increases. Let me see if I can scroll back and pull that one up again from yesterday. Basically, the increases are not only impacting the everyday work, but also this person is in an industry where they drive a lot and deliver, and that's going to be continue. It's already been an increase. It's going to continue to be that way. Another one says that we farm, and costs of diesel, fuel, fertilizer, and gas are having a serious effect. I think we did talk a little bit about that one yesterday. So I want to hear more about what you guys have to say in that space. It's a concern that we all know, and we all are impacted. I think the easy one for me that I can just come right out and say is that the price of gas clearly is something that we all are impacted by directly. I think that's an easy one because of the fact that this is a war in a large oil production area of the world. And so we've seen that, and that's probably the easy one. But what this listener said about things like fertilizer and others are ones that we've talked about. If the others, or you have a direct or a specific thing that's impacted you with regard to gas or other things, let us know. I want to hear what you have to say. Give us a holler, because we're going to try to take your calls if there are calls this next half an hour before we have our next guest. But I want to circle back to two things that I talked about a little bit earlier. One of our listeners said, let's not get overconfident about this move that may be taking place with younger voters. I don't disagree with that. And here's the maybe more full breadth of that this text. Beware of overconfidence in the election. That's a big part of how Hillary lost. That's a big part of it, but it's not the only one. It's also because James Comey put his thumb on the scale. But that being said, it's great that we're ahead, but let's make sure that we don't have people that are still going to be staying at home. I think what Senator McCann said is probably it's a very salient point. There are people that recognize, and young voters particularly, that the numbers or the economics that Trump promised and the entire GOP promised hasn't happened. And I do want to go back to read you the numbers again from the poll, showing that young Americans plan on voting Democratic in November by a margin of 52% to 19%. And again, broken down by party, that data indicates that the GOP has a significant problem in that space. Just 58% of young Republicans say they'll vote GOP, with nearly a third selecting neither or won't vote. I think that won't vote part is a big one, and maybe bigger than a lot of people are. Well, let me make a better statement than corporate media is talking about and the GOP is talking about. That there are a lot of people that won't vote, and I'll go back to something a conversation that I had with Joe Walsh a few weeks back, where he said that that's a real thing. That there are a lot of people who are in the Republican Party now that are saying that they're not going to vote because they can't vote. They in their mind they can't or they won't vote for a Democrat on any level. But they're disenfranchised. They're disappointed. They're PO'd, if you will, with more than Trump, but the GOP because on a federal level and really many state legislators. See, the reason that we talk to so many state legislatures is because they do have a kind of a direct line to what local voters are saying, right there in that Senate or that district in a state, like in Michigan, like the Senator just said. They've got a pretty good handle on what's not happening by getting done by state officials, yet alone what's going on from a federal level. So when we talk about these numbers of people that are going to stay home, whether they be young voters or others, we've got to put some belief into that. Not get overconfident, but we have to be confident. I think that the other side of or to be included in the confidence conversation is we need to show voters that we're confident. There's a difference between being overconfident and lacking and not having the plan or going out to do the work, which is to continue to talk to voters. That's different than being confident and showing the voters that we know that our ideas are better. And because of the fact that our ideas are better, we need to be bold and brazen about that. I talked about that in my Substack article that you guys can check out if you go to Substack. But I do believe that it's as important as it is to be realistic, maybe pragmatic about where we are with voters who may not show up at all on the Republican side that won't vote. I think we have to be equally encouraged that we have been getting some stuff done and that we are moving these things forward. We are listening to what voters have said. And I'm hoping that I'm not even hoping that I'm right. I feel pretty certain that I'm right. And again, it's based on the results of many of these special elections. So let's add those logs to our proverbial fire to keep the engine moving, keep us strong, rather than getting dragged down and mired in all this, the Dems are not going to deliver, the Dems aren't going to get it done again. I'm kind of tired of hearing that. And then maybe I can do a better job of pushing our other narrative. But, I just wanted to come back to that young voters swing back to Democrats article for a moment. Let's grab a quick call, Devin. Let's go to Andre. Good morning. It's the Drayster. What's going on, Andre? Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning to you, Mr. Chu. And I really like that nickname you just gave me there. Nobody never referred to me quite like that.
The Drayster. That's right. That's yours now. You own it. Hashtag the whole nine. Ball caps, T-shirts.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and I'm going to wear it proudly. I listened to you yesterday, and I agree with a lot of the things that you said. And I want to say that, there's really no adults in the room. You were saying, about these Republicans not willing to work across the aisle. Well, I remember that there was a certain person, so Barack Obama's first term, it was Mitch McConnell, so his number one thing was to make Barack Obama a one-term president. He hadn't even seen none of his policies or talked to him yet, but he said his number one goal was to make him a one-term president. Well, Barack Obama went on to win 2 terms, and the poll said that if he could have ran a third time, he would have won for a third time, see? Yep. So it's very hard when somebody draw the line to begin with you, and how do you work across the aisle with somebody that put up a roadblock to begin with and say don't cross this line? It's like very difficult to do that. How this war has affected me. Well, I have a sister of mine that's been like in the nursing home for going on like 4 years now, and I do a lot of driving to go see her. I'm in Chicago and she's in Chicago as well, but it's just way up north. So I put gas in the car, but the gas is like over $2 more than what I used to pay. I still go see her, but that's how that war thing has affected me directly, was the price of gas. Last thing, Mr. Chu, I got really upset this morning because I heard something. Yeah, I heard something that was televised over news, and it is this. Donald Trump is sending Marco Rubio down there to talk to the Pope to ease the tensions between Trump. Now, that sounds like some sort of threat of intimidation to me. Mm-hmm. What has Marco Rubio got going down there to talk to the Pope about easing tensions between the Pope and Trump for? This is ridiculous, Mr. Chu. Yeah. And,
No, go ahead, Andre. Sorry.
It's something, I'm sorry as well. Something has to be done about that. And I guess the best thing I could say is people have to get anxious and excited about these midterms so that we can deal with Trump and his shenanigans. And they have to be mindful, too, that this last ruling by the Supreme Court on this voting, it can be overturned. If the Democrats take over the House, this can be returned with a simple majority. Yeah. Because it was some sort of statute. So I think people think that all hope is lost. It's not lost if we can go ahead and get that majority back in there.
Yeah, without a doubt.
That's all I wanted to add. Yeah, that's all I want to add to this morning, Mr. Chu. Thank you for taking the call.
Great comments from the Drayster, who's going to wear it well. Andre, thank you for giving us a holler this morning, and I put a smile on your face so I can check the box that I did something good today.
Yes, you did. You do something good every day. It's just not appreciated.
Thank you, Andre. Be
Some
safe,
people
brother.
just don't appreciate it.
Thank you for your call.
Thank you, man. I appreciate
your contributions. We'll talk to you soon, okay? Stay safe.
Okay, thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Let's take a quick break, guys. 773-763-9278 is the number. You're listening to WCPT and Choose Views on WCPT AM 820, I should say, in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM. From Warren County, North Carolina, and AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu, and we will be right back.
I've tried everything to stand out at work. Donuts, a company coffee blend, even dressed as the company mascot for Halloween.
There's an easier way, a ComEd facility assessment. Their engineer gave my company free insights and actions that saved us $732,000 on energy. Easy, right?
Learn how ComEd can help you save at ComEd.com/facility assessment. ComEd, powering lives. Savings will vary based on customers' usage and rate.
Every day, we go about our lives driven by routine, our vision clouded by the very normalcy we take for granted. Countless victims of human trafficking walk among us, invisible. It's time to open our eyes. The Blue Campaign provides a unified voice for those who combat human trafficking, whether it's forced labor, domestic servitude, or the sex trade. Learn what you can do to help by visiting dhs.gov/Blue Campaign.
Check up on health with Chris Whitting.
A study from Columbia University found that women who were careful in their choices of cosmetics, hair products, body lotions, and soaps, based on their ingredients, were able to lower their exposures to several chemicals associated with health risks. Research scientist Lariah Edwards was the study's lead author.
Women in our study were able to shop their way to safety. It's about the number of products that you're using. If you're using a lot of products, then you're being exposed to a lot of chemicals. So if you're hesitant to start with trying to find cleaner alternatives, I recommend that you just start using fewer products. For example, do you need to use several different body lotions in a day? Do you need to use several different forms of conditioner? Can you reduce your routine so you use fewer products and then you're exposed to fewer chemicals?
With Checkup on Health, I'm Chris Whitting.
WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, where facts matter.
It's Choose Views, real talk for real people, just like you. Give us a call now, 773-763-9278. Now, back to Richard Chew.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. If you're just tuning in, I'm Richard Chew, and this is Choose Views here on WCPT and all over the place. Down in North Carolina, up in Minnesota, and who knows, maybe more to come. A couple of quick comments from you guys that have sent some texts in this morning. Let me see if I can get to this very quickly. Yes. Okay. One person is saying that they believe that we can get stuff done, just not over-promising where we can't deliver, and recognize that the White House is still going to be in the hands of Trump and Vance. Unless we get a majority in the Senate. We win the House, we get a majority in the Senate. Let's we can be optimistic there. Maybe that's not as fully realistic as you guys might like to hear. We get to 52, and we kind of put we put the hammer to J.D. Vance's ability to come in and break some ties because we have a 2-vote majority, and that's not a bad spot to be. Are there 8 Republicans that would sign off, if you will, on an impeachment from the House? 8 Republican senators? I doubt that. But you never know. There could be some that say, you know what, my political career has been squashed by this dude, and this is my way of getting back to some sort of normalcy. You never know. I mean, I'm not just being pie in the sky with that, but we'll see what happens. But if we get back to House, we can at least start to apply our foot to the proverbial brake. And if we get back to Senate with a 1-vote majority or 2, who knows, we'll be able to get some things done, or at least break this fever a little bit. And to the point that was made, we have to walk in the door and get stuff done so that the voters recognize that Dems didn't just win, they won, and they're now getting things done. Excuse me. One of the other things that I think is a big concern right now is in the conversation around how we not work better, but how we campaign better, how we poll better, how we outreach better, is what the Democratic Party is doing in certain states to try to move parts of the state from red to blue. And down in Texas, the D.C. Democratic Campaign Committee, Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, is really making some noise. Some of this is led by the conversation around Tallarico and what he's going to do in that Senate race, and how damaging is it going to be to John Cornyn and to not Abbott, but Ken Paxton in that race for their primary for the Republican ticket. That Tallarico is pulling some of those stubborn voters over. But what's also going on is that the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee announcement of this latest red to blue, which is kind of an expansion to bring more conversations out there, or put more conversations out there in Texas that's designed to reach traditionally red voters and armed with the knowledge and the information, the data that says your party has let you down. They said they were going to do X, Y, and Z on a state level and on a federal level, and they haven't. And that the Dems in Texas are taking that approach to say, we know you've been a red voter for a long time, but maybe it's time to give us a real look, because your party just hasn't delivered. So why still stay stuck on partisan politics and just keep voting red for the sake of voting red? So the Dems are doing some work in Texas specifically. The House Democrats have the momentum to take back the majority. And they're, according to many of the folks on the ground there, they're doing the things or they're campaigning on the things on a state level and on a national level, even though it's still Texas. Affordable housing for hardworking families, wages. They're looking to go after some of those folks that may have voted red, but were actually independent thinking voters. And they bought into the hype of what the Republican Party has put toward them. So we'll see. I'll keep an eye on that. Don't know where that's going to go, but it is certainly something that was an article that I read. And it seems as though there could be some more than just smoke there. There might be some fire. All right. There's no sugarcoating it, but the decision that came from the Supreme Court last week, the Calais decision, is clearly a disaster. It's, as I said on Thursday, it's a target directly toward African American voters and other voters of color. And then the broader topic, the other circles around that bullseye, if you will, are other what have been viewed as marginalized groups. I'm not always favoring that word, but groups that have been impacted by bias for decades, if not centuries. So our Hispanic, Latino, and Mexican brothers and sisters, our LGBTQ plus communities, women, rural voters, older voters, and younger voters are all susceptible to the harm that this decision has brought toward us. And for it to be, as actually Andre led us to another thought on this, but winning back the House also has import in that space. But one of the things that we can do as individuals, and I kind of put together a quick list. There's a lot of other things that can happen, but a couple of things that I believe that we can do that we should look at and be mindful of when it comes to this decision, as it relates to voting, as it relates to people going to the polls and not being depressed. And I talked about this before, voter suppression and voter depression. Here's some guidelines that I think can be looked at. So a multiracial democracy cannot be defended, by a narrow constituency. What does that mean? We need broader, more deeply involved voters. And what that means is that the coalition that we've relied on for such a long time has been one that's strongly been based in African-American votes and voters. But we also have to remember that it spans beyond race and gets into gender. It gets into class. And this is why I said what I said last week and wanted to talk about this, is it gets into class because oftentimes the disenfranchised voters are rural white voters. And as much as that's maybe a cultural thing, it's also an economic thing, at least in my observation. Geography is part of why I said what I said last week. Religion and sexual identity are all part of where we, if we continue to make deep take efforts in that space and inroads in that space and continue to do that, we will be able to be a force in pushing back against what happened. We also have to make sure we talk to current voters. There are some 90 million, it was 89, I said 90 million people that didn't vote in the last general election. So we have to make sure the people that sat out, that we are speaking to them. We have to remember to remind them that they have a voice. So we as individuals have to speak to them, at the same time speak to our leaders to let them know that you've got to speak to those people as well. So we've got to deepen our coalition and broaden it at the same time. We have to make sure that we reach out to those voters who did not vote in 2024's general election. And we're seeing some signs that that's happening based on the specials. But helping them, encouraging them to participate in the democracy is a huge opportunity. And these are just a couple things that, I wanted to speak about this morning as I was talking about what's happening down in Texas with this Expand Red to Blue program. Let's take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, and our good friends at AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. When we come back, we'll be talking with the Foolish Optimist, Amy McDonald. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
This is a WCPT Moment in Labor. In 2011, 6 Jimmy John's employees in Minneapolis were fired by their franchise-owning company, Mickey Lynn Enterprises, after fighting for paid sick days. This is a common theme in the union-free world of fast food. Over 13 million Americans work in the fast food industry, making an average of $13,500 a year, not even half the average cost of living. 80% of fast food workers have experienced work-related injuries, and only 13% were covered by their employer. A group of employees referred to as the Jimmy John's Six fought for these rights, creating an online campaign, posting a picture of 2 sandwiches saying one of these was made by a healthy employee, the other was made by a sick employee. Can you tell the difference? Too bad, as Jimmy John's workers do not get paid sick days. Help workers win sick days. More than 32 million Americans work a job that does not offer paid sick days. This has been a WCPT Moment in Labor. We're working for your rights.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A few spotty rain showers early today, otherwise cloudy skies with a high around 60. Winds out of the west around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then for tonight, decreasing cloud cover, a low near 44. By Wednesday, partial sunshine develops, a high of 58 degrees. And Thursday, mostly sunny, a high of 60. Friday, chance for rain late, cloudy, high of 65. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 52.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
No fake news here. It's Choose Views with Richard Chu.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. This is Choose Views, and I'm Richard Chu. If you're just tuning in, a few weeks ago, earlier this year, late last year, earlier this year, I saw this lady who was just bringing a sledgehammer to the conversation, and whether it was about gender topics or race. And honestly, it was during King Holiday that my ears really perked up when it came to what this wonderful person had to say. And I was like, damn, she's got she knows her history here. The Foolish Optimist is it's a great label title for the work that Amy McDonald has been doing for a while. And she's been a voice that, like I said, the beauty of social media is that if you pay attention, you find some people that you didn't know existed. And once you do, you want to latch on to the work that they're doing and do your best to amplify them. And that's what I'm trying to do and hoping to do with Amy. Amy, good morning and welcome back to Choose Views.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to have a chat with you this morning. I know that you've been all over the globe. You got your frequent flyer miles in this crazy time of expensive flights and gas and all. Have got to be just outrageous. But how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm doing good. I'm feeling very, very hopeful today. I think this big month of primaries, May is 12, technically 12, should be 12 states doing their primaries. Louisiana's changing theirs. But big month to see kind of these temperature checks across the country. And today's Ohio and Indiana. So I'm following very closely along and just patiently waiting to see what's happening. But I'm feeling very hopeful today.
Yeah.
Tired, but hopeful.
Tired, but hopeful. Yeah, I know. On the other side of that is we have to remain hopeful, and I agree with you. You're the Foolish Optimist by title of your work and your podcast, and I guess I'm the other whatever optimist that there is in that space. Yeah. And it doesn't mean that we don't speak truth and speak with reality and on all those things. But I think that we have to be willing to talk about the upside because we know what the downside is. We know what the other side is. So I think the more that we can encourage people that we interact with, whether it be me and my show or you and your podcast and your other writing, your essays and all that, I think it's part of our responsibility to do that and not wait for others to do it, but take the lead and speak about the optimistic side of where we're headed and where we can go. I want to see, and I want to get your thoughts on this, I want to see us win the House and the Senate and then not just walk in the door going, yeah, we won, but walk in the door and, as I use so often, knock over some tables and walk in the door with the threat that, you know, we're going to another Amy McGrath, who's running for Senate in Kentucky, said it best: affordability and accountability. She wants to see Democrats, when we win, to take care of the things financial that we know that we can take care of. And as I put it, these are my words: send some people to jail.
I want to see people in handcuffs. Just straight up, I would like to see a lot of people in handcuffs. It's not in the American ethos to put our leaders in handcuffs, not yet anyways, right? We're only in our 250th year, and while those of us who have been on Earth for, 30 to 70 years think that's a long time, right now I am in Europe, and they're like, oh, you guys are teenagers. You're still figuring it out. You haven't had a big uprising where you're putting people in prison. And so we don't have that yet. We don't have this culture of accountability yet. And I think this might be the time where we start to see it. And once we see it once we see someone like a president or a vice president or even a governor in handcuffs for doing something illegal, obviously, then it'll be easier to do it the next time. But we do need to hold people accountable, not just for, the crimes that we know are being done, but also for robbing the American people. It's a different crime than what we've been talking about a lot. But I would like to see the financial books of the United States deeply and see where every single penny has gone in the last 16 months. It's, people are talking about all of this stuff and just where things have gone. And it's like, I want to know where. I want to see the receipts. I want to see every penny, and I want to track down the people who have taken some of our money, because I know some of it is gone.
It is. And I remember last year saying around Doge, I remember this, Amy, like it was yesterday. I said, okay, so if this group Doge is real and they're going to get something done to affect our budget, okay, if that's real, let's just say that it is. I want to see the receipts. I want to see what they actually did. Where did that money go? I really want to know, because if it's about our tax dollars that they're saying are being misused, and they're trying to fix that, and
I want them back.
I want them back. But minimally, Amy, I want to know where in the hell they went when you said you saved them, and who got that money? Am I crazy for asking that? I want to know where that money is.
The follow-up to Doge always is this: I need to remind you, Elon Musk did not investigate the Department of Defense. He did not investigate the place where all his fucking, am I allowed to say that? Sorry. All of his contracts are. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not investigating where all of his money is. And we know that the Department of Defense is inflated with contractors like Elon Musk and all of these other things. And I'm like, it's $1 trillion. We're talking about excess spending. We didn't jump in there, huh?
No, because those waters were filled with all the alligators that that are the members of the Trump administration and the cabinet and all of his buddies and buddies that have thrown a bunch of money at this presidency. So no, we're not going to look over there. And even taking out of, I use this comparison oftentimes, and particularly with the war. I've said, the $25 billion, take the top 25 cities in America based on population, red, blue, or whatever, and give each of them $1 billion and watch what changes in those cities. And I don't care if it's a red city or a blue city, but take that $25 billion. And I know it's about how it's allocated with the war armaments, and I get that. But the point is, wasteful spending has actually become more prevalent in the Republican Party, and here's the secret, y'all. It always has been.
They've never been conserving anything in the fiscal arena. It's the way they, air quotes, conserve is by giving tax cuts to the uber wealthy and then ripping away anything that makes your life a little bit easier. That is the number one hallmark of the Heritage Foundation, their first mandate for leadership. If you're thinking about Project 2025, that's our 9th mandate for leadership out of the Heritage Foundation. The first one was in 1980. Their opening line is, we need to balance the budget, while also increasing defense spending. How can you balance the budget while we increase defense spending? We have to take away programs that actually help Americans. If we gave $1 billion to each of our biggest major metro areas, can you imagine? Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Think of $250,000 going to the children's hospitals, or these organizations that really take care of communities and take care of families while their children are ill or something geez. And then into transit, wherever it went. I argue that all the time.
How about tools that help veterans who've been injured by going to these stupid wars?
In other needless wars, that other places we didn't need to be. Mm-hmm. Have you heard about the Marine vet who's been on the bridge in D.C. for 74 hours?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And you look at that and you go, really? WT, the other letter. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and this is why I say, Amy, oftentimes, and I know that you've got a take on this as well, then I'm going to ask you a couple quick questions, why we have to lay this at the feet of the entire Republican Party, not just at Donald Trump's feet. It has to be everybody from him on down. And this is where I get into a little bit of trouble. Even voters who knew better or said that they were, you've seen this and you've posted things about this where people have said, well, I didn't know, or I thought it was going to be, and, this other garbage. Well, that either you weren't paying attention or you intentionally chose to go in a direction that was harmful. Mm-hmm. We told you that it was, there's lions out there. They're going to get you. So this is something that I believe, for the lesson to be learned, it has to be at the feet of all the Republican political party and those voters who made the decision that they wanted this. They wanted it on the state level. They wanted it on the federal level. They wanted it on the local level, because it's impacting everybody. Until they learn that lesson, we can criticize Democrats all day long, and I've done it. I'll raise my hand. But the blame is really at the feet of the Republicans.
I always think of the, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me.
Right.
Some of these people voted for Donald Trump 3 times. And I have to tell you, I understand there's a ton of money getting pumped into every single election. There's so much propaganda. There's so much information trying to sway which direction you vote, right? And I do understand a lot of Americans are not truly, because of things like No Child Left Behind, they don't have the critical thinking skills because our education system is so messed up. Mm-hmm. That being said, this man lied to your face for over 10 years. And we saw the corruption in his first term. We saw it there. Numerous people have come out with allegations even before Epstein files, right? Mm-hmm. He was a convicted felon. He is a convicted felon presently. It's not a surprise. It can't be a surprise to anyone unless you blatantly just shoved your head in the sand and said, hey, I just don't care. And that's what a lot of people said, right? A lot of people said, him saying he grabs women by, they said that was fine. Oh, he just tells it like it is. No, that is textbook sexual assault and pushing and furthering this narrative of the rape culture. And so to me, that was enough. I obviously, my background is I lived in New York for a long time, and worked in real estate and construction. So people were like, oh, so you know him well. And I'm like, I don't know him well, but I know people whose lives have been ruined by him. There's no way in any timeline that I could ever vote for a man like that, because I know how many people he refuses to pay.
Yeah.
And now we're in a situation where he's started this ballroom and he's not paying the contractor. And I'm like,
And I want to see the receipts on that too, Amy, because $400 million, when I've seen estimates from many sources that say it originally was, $10 to $20 million, and it's just keep
$400 million is insane for a construction project of that size. I need you to understand that.
It is, and this is where, okay, again, this is going to sound like I'm pointing fingers, and I kind of am at all of us. This is where I said, people, slow down for a second. We're getting caught up in if the ballroom should be built or not. Okay, yay or nay, wherever you fall on that. But the price of it, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's coming from private donors or not. I could care less about that because I've said if it's coming from private donor money, pay attention, Lindsey Graham, then those. How about encouraging Donald Trump, those donors, to donate that money to charities and other groups that are going to benefit people and look like a champion to say, we're going to do this ballroom, but I made a decision that what we have now is great, et cetera. And the money that they were going to contribute, what I have directed them to do, and let's just say that it's 10 of them, I want them to donate that $40 million to these charities. He would look like a champion. But the Republicans just keep propping him up because they don't care. Amy, don't respond. Hold your thought. I'm going to take a break because I want to have more time on the back end. 773-763-9278 is the number. You're listening to Choose Youth on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, on WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, as well as our good friends at AM 950, the progressive voice of Richard Chew. I'm Richard Chew. Progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chew. We'll be right back.
Straight Talk Wireless presents Pickup Truck Wisdom.
If you're only good to your new friends, you're not going to have any old ones. Straight Talk gets it. That's why new and existing customers get free 5G phones on Verizon's 5G network. Pretty simple, really. You keep good people by being good people.
Find us at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Taxes and fees apply. Plan purchase required for free phone offers. Copyright 2026 Verizon.
Out Here is a celebration of queer joy, family, and the many ways we can build a home. Dawn wants to divorce her husband and rekindle the flame with her ex-girlfriend. As she's caught between what's been and what's next, she must learn to reimagine her expectations, harmonize with loved ones, and trust the process. Experience this bold, playful new musical from Leslie Buxbaum, David J. Levin, and Aaron McCowan, directed by Che Yu. Perfect for fans of Fun Home. Out Here is on stage at Court Theater through May 10th. Tickets at courttheater.org.
This is a WCPT moment in labor. In the summer of 1881, 2 decades after the Civil War, 20 African-American laundresses met at a local church in Atlanta to form the Washing Society, a trade organization which looked to create a higher uniform wage and greater work autonomy for laundresses, also known as washerwomen. Through the help of local preachers and door-to-door canvassing, the Washing Society grew from 20 members to 3,000 in only a few weeks. The workers went on strike and faced opposition from their employers as well as the local politicians. The Atlanta City Council proposed a licensing fee for their organizing efforts. Strikers agreed to the fee in exchange for self-regulation. In the end, the City Council rejected the proposed fees and the laundresses prevailed. The impact of the strike led to increased wages for some, but showed that African-American workers, including women, were vital to the New South economy. This has been a WCPT Moment in Labor. We're working for your rights.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
We may be waking up, but we're still engaged. It's Choose Views with Richard Chew.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. If you're just tuning in, this is Choose Views, and I'm Richard Chew, and we are talking with Amy McDonald, who is the host of the podcast, The Foolish Optimist. I love the title, and I love the work that Amy does. We were just joking in the studio, Amy, about your proficiency in this space. I had to cut you off a little bit before we went to break because we were talking about Republicans that don't care. Take that $400 million divided by 10 and give it to, give $40 million to 10 charities. Take the win as a great guy. I directed them to do this, but they don't care, Amy. They don't give a damn.
Well, so I think they've really started to shift gears, right? Because one of the most insidious things that I see is people thinking that Trump et al. And his cohort are not smart. But everything they do is very, very calculated, and I think we need to register that. So when I think about what you're talking about, that feels like something they would have done a year ago, and now they are brazenly spending money that could go elsewhere, that could give him a really massive win. Obviously, I don't think I know there's merch being printed for Trump 2028. I don't think he has the capacity to run again, nor is it constitutionally allowed. So I think they're starting to try to push J.D. Vance up a little bit, and they do try to keep him separate from all the shenanigans, which makes me think that he is, obviously he is the heir apparent as the vice president. But I do think a year ago they would have done that, and they would have taken it as a really big win. But now I think they, like you said, they just don't care. And this shift is what I noticed this around the big, beautiful bill last year, where you saw all these Republican congressmen and women just like, I didn't read it, sorry. And you're like, what do you mean you didn't read it? They're like, oh, I didn't know that was in there. And like, I literally saw them throw their hands up and be like, oops. And you're like, so you just don't do your job? Your team of people in your office don't do their jobs? And so they've gotten to a point where they literally, you're right, they literally don't care. And I think it has been a drastic shift over the last year, which makes me uncomfortable.
That's an interesting and probably better than interesting, a spot on observation and analysis that they're not doing their jobs. We've all been talking about that, and I want to try to connect that to this report that I just read recently about younger voters and I talked about this earlier in the show, that younger voters are revealing the gap in the Republican Party right now, that they are not going to show up for the Republicans in this midterm. And that's going to be devastating if it's true. Do you think it's true? And you're chronologically would fit into that under 40 voter. Am I off in left field, or is this something that you are seeing as one that's in that demographic, that there is a shift that's real?
The last numbers I saw were that the people younger than I am, Gen Z, are splitting. Women are going progressive, and younger men tend to be a little bit more conservative, if not all out conservative. But I think they lost a lot of people around turning off Snap. I think that was a big thing. I think the messaging that the Democrats did really got that out there into the world. And I do think that a lot of these younger people, a lot of us are thinking about families. We're thinking about having kids. We're all pressured under the weight of student loans and the price of housing and all these things. And I think there were real conversations that were had about who needs Snap and who gets Snap and why they get Snap and why it's really important that we have this type of thing as a resource for people who are in that position. And I think a lot of younger people clicked into the fact that that could be me. If I had a kid and I lost my job and I needed to put food on my table and this was an option that I could take, I would definitely take that. So I think there were real conversations had around that in November, but I also do really think that people are realizing the harm of the trajectory that we're on right now, between Supreme Court cases, between even state level things, abortion bans, and just the general tightening of the net around us, right? Yeah. And I think young people registered that my future is very limited if I keep voting this direction.
That is a great statement. That's a clippable statement. My future is very limited if I keep voting in this direction. Is so powerful. And that's the thing that I said earlier. I was talking about what's going on in Texas, this Red to Blue campaign, which is to get independent thinking voters to get unstuck and just voting red because it's Texas and it's what we've done, and recognize that the Republican Party hasn't delivered for you. And if I keep doing this, I'm going to stay stuck. And so you mentioned Supreme Court. Let's touch on that real quickly. Obviously, you had a lot to say and very meaningful and spot on about the Supreme Court's decision last week with the Calais decision on voting. And at the same time, then I guess it did. This is going to sound awful, but this is how that 6 on the Supreme Court are. But then they tried to clean up a little bit of their popularity by voting in the right direction and restoring the abortion bill access. So Talk to me about those two, and I've heard you've got the baton.
We are in an abusive relationship with our Supreme Court. This is what abusers do. They hit you, and then they will go out and they buy you something new. They say, oh, I'll never do it again. I'm so sorry. Here's this new watch. And that, to me, is the, I can never pronounce the medical term for it, but that is the pill that you can buy via mail. Thank you. I'm like,
I practice it a lot.
Yeah, it's a hard one. But that's how I feel about this, right? And I have to impress upon everyone that this has been a goal of the very far right for quite some time. You know, last year I spent somewhere around 400 hours learning about the Heritage Foundation. And the timeline of the Heritage Foundation is that less than 10 years after the Voting Rights Act is passed, the Heritage Foundation is created. 10 years after the Voting Rights Act is passed, the moral majority is created by one of the co-founders of the Heritage Foundation. And by 1980, that same co-founder of the Heritage Foundation is on record to a room full of people saying, it doesn't benefit us when everyone votes.
Yep.
So they have been working towards this goal one way or another, and the redistricting and the gerrymandering and the maps brought them a small win in what they wanted. Realistically, what I think they truly want is the Voting Rights Act gone, but they can't get away with that, right? So this is a way to dilute the power of minorities and the way that we've done things for quite some time. And so I'm, I worry about our Supreme Court. I worry about Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito retiring and Trump. And I think that's like basically that's on the horizon over the next 6 months, right? Because once November happens, they don't have the political power to do that. And so in my mind, when I'm thinking about 2028, I'm looking for someone who is talking about expanding the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
We have 13 district courts. We should have 13 people on the court.
Amy, I said this as well, that I think that this is a sign that they want to go out with a bang, meaning Alito and Thomas. And some people have said, no, Richard, they want the power. They want the power. I think they realize that if the Democrats take back the House and potentially the Senate, and then we move to the point where we were to win the White House and hold the Senate and the state, hold all of Congress, and we win some state elections and we keep some governors in place, that the shift is going to be so hard to get the Supreme Court to a bigger number, whatever that number may be, that Alito and Thomas want to go out on a win, and they don't want their power to be, because John Roberts doesn't run the Supreme Court. Alito and Thomas do. I don't care what anybody says. He's a figurehead. Roberts is. Alito and Thomas are the ones that are running the thing. Do you agree or think I'm crazy?
I don't know, John. So John Roberts is, in my mind, a master at what he does, and it's so interesting to me to follow the trajectory of his career. I don't think you're wrong that the alliance between Alito and Thomas carries a ton of weight, and it is always interesting to me that Roberts can be a little bit of a swing vote from time to time. Every now and again he'll show up and you're just like, what did you just say? Huh? But yeah, I think you're right. I think you're spot on. I think Alito and Thomas bow out before the end of the year. I think it's probably before the end of the summer, so that we're in a position where the Senate is finding new people. And of course, they're going to be Amy Coney Barrett, Brett Kavanaugh types.
Yeah.
If there are any investigative journalists listening, I have questions about Brett Kavanaugh's debt. I would like to know where it went and who paid it. And I don't have the resources to find it, so hit me up. We'll do something together.
Amy likes receipts, y'all.
I do.
I can't wait to have you back again next month, if not sooner. I know that we are building this thing, and I'm so proud of all the work that you've been doing. You guys have to follow Amy. Tell folks how they can find you as we wrap up today.
Amazing. You can follow the podcast anywhere that you get your podcasts, except for Audible. Me and Mr. Bezos aren't on good terms, so it's The Foolish Optimist. We have interviewed 69 candidates running for office this year, and we've got so many more on the horizon. We're also talking to activists and organizers. And then you can follow me on Instagram or any other major platform at Amy Mac, and that's Mac with 3 C's. I didn't pick this name. I did pick it. It was just in 2008 when Instagram was invented. So I wasn't intending on making this a business platform. But you can scroll back all the way to the beginning and find my very first Instagram post. So
cool.
That's where you can find me. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Amy, for
Thank
being
you.
with us. Travel safely. Talk to you soon, okay?
Thanks so much.
All right, bye-bye. Guys, thanks for hanging out with us today. As always, make sure that you stick around for the Stephanie Miller Show. Take a deep breath and make your life count. We'll see you tomorrow.
This is a WCPT moment in labor. In the summer of 1881, 2 decades after the Civil War, 20 African American laundresses met at a local church in Atlanta to form the Washing Society, a trade organization which looked to create a higher uniform wage and greater work autonomy for laundresses, also known as washerwomen. Through the help of local preachers and door-to-door canvassing, the Washing Society grew from 20 members to 3,000 in only a few weeks. The workers went on strike and faced opposition from their employers as well as the local politicians. The Atlanta City Council proposed a licensing fee for their organizing efforts. The strikers agreed to the fee in exchange for self-regulation. In the end, the City Council rejected the proposed fees and the laundresses prevailed. The impact of the strike led to increased wages for some, but showed that African American workers, including women, were vital to the New South economy. This has been a WCPT moment in labor. We're working for your rights.
Amazon Business. Unlock smart business buying with fast, free delivery on millions of items and practical AI innovations that automate repetitive tasks. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
NBC News Radio, I'm Jim Roop. At least 7 Iranian small boats were destroyed after they opened fire on U.S. warships today in the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. Central Command leader Admiral Brad Cooper says he strongly advised Iran to steer clear of U.S. forces during what's being called Operation Project Freedom, the new effort U.S. forces launched to wrestle away control of the strait from Iran. The Secret Service is investigating a shooting involving one of its officers not far from the White House today. Secret Service Deputy Director Matthew Quinn says officers approached a suspicious individual that appeared to have a firearm.
Upon making contact, that individual fled briefly on foot, withdrew a firearm, and fired in the direction of our agents and officers. They returned fire and engaged. That individual was hit.
The suspect's condition currently unknown. It happened near the Washington Monument, a mile away from the White House. A bystander suffered a non-life-threatening gunshot wound in the incident. Reports say President Trump's schedule was uninterrupted as he spoke at a small business forum in the East Room today. Voters in Indiana and Ohio will head to the polls tomorrow for several primary races. Interest in Indiana's races grew after President Trump endorsed 7 GOP primary challengers to Republican state senators who voted against last year's redistricting plan that would have probably led to an increase in Republicans in the U.S. House. Meanwhile, in the Buckeye State, Republicans will decide their candidate for the next governor to replace Mike DeWine. The cruise ship at the center of a deadly hantavirus outbreak is being blocked from docking. 149 people remain on board, with 2 being seriously ill, 3 suspected to have died. According to reports from Reuters, Cape Verde says it decided not to let the boat dock at the port as a precautionary measure. Jim Roop, NBC News Radio.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Few spotty rain showers early today, otherwise cloudy skies with a high around 60. Winds out of the west around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then for tonight, decreasing cloud cover, a low near 44. By Wednesday, partial sunshine develops, a high of 58 degrees. And Thursday, mostly sunny, a high of 60. Friday, chance for rain late, cloudy, high of 65. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 48.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
The Sports Cubicle. Commissioner of the American Association of Professional Baseball, Joshua Schaub.
So our players are not playing to develop
other stadiums. It shouldn't be, hey, this is going to be an economic boon for the city. It's not going to be. It should be, how much is it worth to us culturally to keep these teams here?
The Sports Cubicle with Mike Mercado, Devin Tingle, Dan Marver, and Paul Shivari. Sunday nights, 9 p.m. on WCPT.
Hallmark Cards presents Mother's Day at Walgreens. Celebrate every mother figure in your life with a Hallmark card at Walgreens. Show how much she means to you and how deeply she's loved. A Hallmark card is the perfect way to say thank you for all she does. Don't forget, Mother's Day is Sunday, May 10th. Visit Walgreens today to find the perfect Hallmark Mother's Day card and make her feel truly special. Mother's Day means Hallmark cards at Walgreens.
If you're purchasing a new home or refinancing your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Suzanne called after hearing me explain discount points on my radio show because her son was purchasing a home in Colorado. I answered Suzanne's questions and encouraged her son to call me for a free consultation. Suzanne was so impressed with the service I provided, she wrote this 5-star Google review. Quote, I sent David an email today with a question about discount points that I heard him talk about on his radio show. And he called me back this evening with a complete explanation. I'm so impressed with his responsiveness and knowledge. Thank you, Suzanne, for the amazing review. I strongly encourage everyone to check out Team Hochberg's close to 600 5-star Google reviews. Team Hochberg helped Suzanne and thousands of radio listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Atlantic Coast Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 643114.
Hey, it's the Paulacious One. I'm up on the transmitter trying to power us up so you can hear us on 820. But if you can't hear us on the radio, you can also hear us on heartlandsignal.com, Spotify, iTunes, TuneIn Radio app, and SoundCloud.com/WCPT820. It's the Sports Cubicle, 9 p.m. on Sundays on WCPT. Whoa!
The Sports Cubicle, Sunday nights at 9 p.m. on WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Alexa, play WCPT.